hopefully this should put me live. And we bing chilling. Hello. How is it going, everyone? It's your boy, it's 33, welcoming you to T1 Weibo Gaming, our only game this weekend that's happened. We're going into the World Championship Finals. I'm really hyped up for this one, obviously, because we usually do something big for them, and this is the first time we're actually doing a full-on live stream for the World Championship. Before I've reacted to it falling asleep during a game. This time, not so much. We're not going to fall asleep, hopefully. We're actually going to be breaking down every single matchup from the series, and I'm really looking forward to it. But before we do that, I got some Pokemon cards to open. I got these over the weekend. You should be seeing some videos coming out over the next couple of days on this channel. It'll probably come out next week as well. We're spacing them out, obviously, for reasons. Because content will be dry. So, here we go. There is La code card for the triple booster. It's for Artibax. They could have honestly have made it for Bascalibur. As I drop it on the floor. Nice! Always fun dropping things. That's kind of how things go. But yeah, big pack to just kick us up. It's some Paradox Rift. As you know, big fan of Paradox Rift because it has Iron Valiance in it. And if we hit an Iron Valiance today, I think we're going to have a really good stream. Not sure. Don't know whether or not you care about it, but there you go. There's your little bit of a code. Bang. Dark Energy. Galvantula. Mantike. Pansage. Minim. Absol. Simisear. Crobat. Mishayo as our first reverse, I believe it is. Second reverse. Toadscool. And our rare. Adios, okay. Not terrible. Legendary to start us off. What will be in pack number 2? It's weird opening on the webcam instead of my actual camera, these packs. Now, I've come to a realization with opening packs now. It's kind of unfortunate for me. Is the camera I use, the screens, it's knackered. Because they have one of them backlit screens that really do go after many years of use. And it's kind of unfortunate that this one has gone. But we'll guess Electric Energy. We hit it. We also hit a Lekid. Onyx, the guy that's only just been added to Pokemon Sleep. Tinkerdink. Chaudette. Tatsugiri. Earthen Vessel. Medical Energy. Thievul. Horsey in our first reverse, or second reverse, can't tell. And Porygon Z in our rare. Unlucky, to say the least. Something that wasn't unlucky was our Japanese box opening of Fusion Flash. The Japanese set, sorry. Always good for me because I get good pulls out of them. Bang. And we did get the Japanese Iron Valiant in that. Dark Energy. It's water. Never lucky. Water. Zubat. Gleaming Owl. Nice. I think there's a rare card in there. Purloin. Meow Stick. Or Memefu, sorry. Orthworm. Absol, looking dope. That's a rare card, but we'll get to it in a second. Simisair. Rourke. Nacti. Milotic. Thought we got a rare card, never mind. Well, pack's done, let's end it. Jokes. Now, we're getting into the stream right now. And the series is very interesting to me because of how it turns out. The quickest of finals possible. 3-0 T1. Let's get into draft for game number 1. Weibo start on blue side. The most dominant side at the World Championship. Immediately the bans are coming through thick and fast as the Azir, Nico, Ori all banned out the mid lane, whereas the Jarvan removed out the jungle. We talked about it in the prelude in our predictions that Jarvan was a contested pick that Owner has found a lot of success on. Another pick that's found tons of success on for both teams is Aatrox. Will it make it into this first rotation, as all of Faker's picks have been banned from Worlds 2023? He's showing something new and he knows it. As, whoa, that's a cool effect. Maokai locked in immediately for Weibo. T1's response, Kalista, Renata, a strong bot lane. This will be very, very hard to deal with as the game gets later on, as the crowd control from the Renata will dissuade any advancements from that Maokai. Weibo obviously have the similar sort of thing with the Nature's Grasp, but it's basically a battle of the hostile takeover and the Nature's Grasp in terms of their effectiveness to crowd control and CC the opponents. Weibo, they lock in double AD champs as the Aatrox gets brought into the field. We've talked about it being such a prevalent pick for both players. The Shy, I think, has had the better of the two sorts of performances on this pick, as the more lethality-esque build that Zeus goes to doesn't provide the same sort of sustainability as the Gore Drinker build that others have seen. Faker drops us a Yode, I believe. That's a nice pick into the Jace, obviously. I'd expect something maybe Renekton Ornn-based for Zeus to kind of just sustain through that Aatrox matchup. The second rotation of bans are coming through, and Sedge, Ashe, Varus all removed. There's a lot of ADCs taken away from Light here. The things that he's found comfort on, and the things that are left open are Xayah. You've also got Kaiser. Or we go down the pick table, the priority scale, even more to the likes of the Sivir, Ezreal combo champions. I highly doubt they'll come through, but maybe Aphelios will come through for Light. He's found success on it, and that would kind of hint towards a Milio support. I think that would work, honestly, for Weibo. They are very heavily indexed into AD, so maybe it's Aphelios Heimer to get a bit of AP damage down. Something with a bit of AP needs to really come through, I feel, for Weibo here. As, typically speaking, Maokai is the only form of AP in a teamfight isn't the best. And looking at T1's draft so far, sure, they're not as tanky as what you could expect. I'd certainly would have preferred a Heimer, a Lux maybe, Caitlyn Lux for a siege lane in the bot lane into the Kalista. As a whole, that would have been maybe a little bit better. but they're going to try and match the overall power by outscaling T1 with the Senna TK. A lot of resistance in the support who's going to be feeding his way through the CS minions, whereas the Senna is probably going to be fasting. T1's response, Lee Sin and Ahri. The Yone has been flexed to the top side, as Faker gets his hands on more so another playmaking mid laner. It's not the same sort of thing as his Azir, where he's able to scoop targets up like what he did to Ruler, but typically speaking, Ahri has a lot of playmaking tools with the Spirit Rush into the Charm to get onto one of these pretty easy to hit Senna targets. Like, you're going to be forcing out the Devour from Tom Kench quite often if a good charm lands. And with how T1's comp has been set up, the fact that you've gone for a Lee Sin as well, you can Dragon's Kick the TK either away so he can't devour someone, or you can kick him while he's devouring someone to bring in 2 people for the price of 1. It's essentially the Blitzcrank / Thresh / any champion with a hook combination that you can go for. And as a whole, I really do like what T1 have done here, because they've indexed quite evenly in their damage. They've got a good setup for these plays, and it's going to be the only issue for me will be the fact that they're kind of lacking strong front line. That is a big thing to consider, because they're trying to, with this comp, dodge about and play quite loose, and that's going to be quite hard to do into essentially an Aatrox and a Tom Kench, who have pretty good chase down. Same story with the Maokai. Basically, T1 need to be slippier than what Weibo are. Now, the setups onto the Rift is the fan of 5 across both teams. No one going to go overly aggressive to start off, unless T1 try to get this early invade in the bot side. It's not looking like it because of where Owner is. As maybe Faker goes, they're actually grouping up for it. So the 3-man invade is going to come through from T1, hopefully. Maybe not. They seed TK, presumably, and just back it up. They play respectful. One ward drop down by Xiaohu, who drops the River Ward in the top half of the map, just because you want to protect your A, the Scuttle Crab, and B, lane access. It's kind of predicted that Owner will start on this top half of the map, go to red, and then wrap down to blue, as T1 are setting up an early sort of lane controlling play with Gumayushi and Carrier. The handshake not going to come out. He's actually gone for the E start here, Carrier, so he isn't... They're not looking for the early form of burst out. It's more so the long sustained trades through to level 2. And unless he goes W level 2, I think we'll probably see T1 just play it safe through to level 3 and 4 in the bot side, which should be when Lee Sin makes the wrap down and starts to force plays. Now, itemization wise, nothing too out of the ordinary. Doran's across the board, no calls. I'm a little surprised there's no... Well, I would say there'd be an alright opportunity for a call for the Callista. Though, Doran's obviously provides a little bit extra in terms of damage and sustain. As Owner chasing Weiwei out his jungle. And this is something that's typically been done against Weiwei a lot. He's been kind of one of the weaker points. I'd say more so the non-talked about points of Weibo. And the fact that he doesn't go for these more so aggressive junglers that can trade early, comparative to Owner, who obviously goes for the likes of the Jarvan, which has high trading power. As mid lane, that's the flash trade coming through as the charm gets flashed out by Xiaohu. But T1, they're on the wrong side of the rift, being chased away down into Weibo's jungle. And that's just going to be a flash for flash trade. That's kind of worthwhile if you are T1, you burn the summoners out from Xiaohu, who's probably going to be forced to TP in here due to the wave state, and yes, he is. There you go. Into the mid lane he goes, and now Faker could be caught out. Rooted, good charm out from the Ahri, but he's still going to be chased down. The shots coming through. Jace is going to pick up first blood, and Weibo get on the board early. That's actually a very nicely timed play out from Weiwei. We were saying he doesn't pick these aggressive jungles champs that go aggressive early, and here he's proven me wrong by getting a early level gank. It's pretty good because now he gets access to the top half of the map, gets the full Raptor respawn I should say, as here it's just perfectly timed. As Xiaohu arrives in lane, he's arriving, flashing on top of Faker. Bear in mind the flash was already burnt as Faker went aggressive on the tower, and that kind of means that because Faker is not level 6, he has no escape tools and gets burst down. And with that, he's kind of also forced to TP in, and that's going to put him in a bit of a awkward situation. Now, the good thing is, he's going to get the crash in return, deny a couple of CS away from Xiaohu, but as it stands, he's going to be quite happy, quite content with that, as the CS lead isn't that substantial. Obviously, having first blood is more beneficial to Xiaohu than, say, a couple of CS. It's certainly worth more, especially considering the fact that his jungle now has started to get some control back, as Light trading into Owner gonna force him off these Raptors, but in the end probably won't result in too much as the camp goes back to its safe point. And this is kind of smart from Weibo, as they obviously know that they've taken away Owner's own Raptor camp, so the fact that Owner was contesting it as Weiwei was kind of on this awkward positioning on the map, it kind of was good play from Light to essentially give up on CS in the mid lane, in the bot lane, to kind of force a contest on these Raptors. And while sure he's playing support, and mainly centers typically want to be hovering around in the lane to get as much CS as possible, the fact is, if the Raptors die and he's about, the chance of a soul spawning is pretty much the same as a minion dying, I believe. So he realistically wasn't missing out on much there. So overall, that's a good macro play from Weibo to respond to any form of aggression out from Owner to steal away camps. Now, what it has done is forced a bit of a awkward situation in the bot lane with the fact that Light and Crisp cannot really step up into the wave due to the fact Gumayushi had free reign of the lane, and that CSD is quite high now. It's roughly, well, 15, 16 CSD at this stage of the game. Quite high, considering we're only 7 minutes in. And the lane matchup hasn't really been contested that much. And that is a bit unfortunate due to the fact that Light obviously made covering plays for its own jungle. But, typically speaking, it hasn't really helped Weibo, in a sense that sure, your jungler was able to keep a lot of its camps, but the fact is, Owner has been able to maintain a steady lead across the board, and that's due to the clear speed of this Lee Sin being quite high, and the fact that he'd also made a play in the mid lane to try and get the kill, but obviously didn't work out. He's still able to keep a lead, which is pretty good for him. He's also going for this more so sustainable build on this Lee, with the Gore Drinker probably going to come through in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Now, looking at the rest of the board and the items going to come through for these two teams, that's looking to be a Liandry's probably for Faker. Get the extra burn damage down. And comparative to a Eclipse or a Dustblade for the Jace, the more burst heavy build, But we are sitting 8 minutes on the clock. Herald on the table. T1 starting that one up. The response from Weibo quite slow. The objective will fall. No contest as Faker goes forward, lands a charm onto the CK, who is level 6, but he has no escape as a hostile takeover comes through, rooting down the target's owner. Gets the first kill for T1 of the game. That is honestly a lot of good CC utilized there by T1 to burst out the support, or kind of the tank in the bot lane. I can't really call him a support when he doesn't have a support item. But that is realistically very good as topside. Weiwei looking, waiting for the soul and bound to time out as he flashes forward. The fate sealed will not go through, and in the end Zeus will fall. He is gonna die. There we go. And that is a well-timed gank from Weibo as you wait out the fate seal, the soul unbound, and then get in line so he can't fate seal away. Overall, a well-played gank from Weiwei. With that, T1 in a bit of a... while it has kind of righted the ship in the top side, obviously still a big CSD and the gold pretty much even between the laners. That kind of shows you how far ahead Zeus was. We are kind of starting to see a bit of a predicament in the bot lane as Gumayushi been just free farming. Already up a lot more CS than what he was before. That CSD is growing, and while Weiwei is making plays to kind of mitigate the damage that T1 is forming on the other side of the rift, he's just letting essentially a leak happen in the bot lane. And this Kalista, the longer this game goes, the more spears that she'll be able to stack up. The Hurricane, the Rage Blade, big core components in this build that you realistically, you need to be slowing her down so she can't reach them breakpoints. The fact that you obviously have a Senna kind of mitigates some of the scaling. Obviously you have Infinite on a Senna with the Soul Collection, but the issue still remains that an untouched Kalista that's been getting a lead over you without any contest really does need to be slowly shut down, or shut down quite rapidly. Namely right now, I would say. T1 setting up for this Drake. You obviously will be down 2 Drakes at this point. If they get it, you kind of are then forcing yourself to have to fight for the next 2 in order to stop the soul stack, and that's an issue because while the first Drake, not the best Chemtech, yucky, Hex Drake is pretty good, Cloud Soul not the best, but it's still an impactful soul if you think about the CDR it provides. That hostile takeover is a huge ultimate that has a decent cooldown, especially on a support. Now granted, more than likely Carrier will be building CDR as bot side. Almost looking like a bit of a skirmish. Won't result in any form of kill though. As top side, bit of trading coming through. The Shackles pulls onto Zeus, but he's able to pull his soul back together, not get rooted as Weiwei. Hunting. It's looking like a 2v2 as a Fate Seal lands onto Weiwei, and that's all in out from T1 as the Dragon's Kick lands. And Maokai, the Dawning Shadow, keeps him alive, and he's able to kill off this Yone. T1, they overstep, overcommit, and that Senna was just able to fire in, deny the kill. And T1, they lose their top laner's life for essentially 1 ulti. That's a huge investment as a hostile takeover, yikes, goes wide. Faker getting jumped on. This Jace running down Tisari, but the phase rush and the phase rush will not be able to keep up with the Ahri's Spirit Rush. And T1, they don't lose any more members after what could be considered a good looking start. I'm interested to see how the Maokai gets the kill there. I'm pretty sure it'll be a sapling. Obviously, we were talking about the AP investment out from Weibo being quite little, and it's only on the Maokai for that form of damage. So, typically speaking, you don't expect it to be that big. But obviously, looking at the build, Dione, full damage, full crit, and really only has a Doran Shield for resistance. But T1, they see the opportunity. They're looking for the Shy. He got ahead, but he's now gonna be dead. As T1, they run him down, give the kill over to this Lee Sin, keep the jungler ahead, get him a bounty, get him the gold. And T1, they're starting to reaffirm control of this game. They've rewrited the ship topside a little bit more. They gave away so much as Owner jumping onto this Maokai, but Weiwei, he gets kicked to the wrong side. But in the end, it's Owner who's going to fall. Weiwei keeps getting away with it as the Devourer forced out. Crisp keeps his ADC alive. Gumayusi tagged up by a Shock Blast. T1 could be in a bit of a difficult situation, but someone who is in even more of a dire straits is Weiwei, who executes off to the tower. While it says a shutdown goes over to the tower, he's still got a bounty on his head. And T1, they're looking to claim that for themselves. After what could be considered two close calls, that Maokai, he's playing on the edge, and somehow, some way, he keeps finding a way to survive. It's here. This looks bad for him. He gets caught out. Jumped on. That twisted advance looks very greedy. But look, he gets the Q, denies the jump through for Owner, and Xiaohu, right position at the right time, gets to do a mass amount of damage with the hammer being brought down. And sure, the demonic embrace picks up another kill for Weiwei, who's honestly, I'm surprised he's doing this well in terms of picking up kills. But one thing that T1 is doing pretty good at in this game is controlling these objectives. Second Herald on the table. The two teams collapsing into the area. But Weibo, they give up another objective as Light. He uses his flash to get away from the Fate Sealed. T1, they're hunting for these kills. They're trying to get something. But Weibo, they're not giving them the chance to. They're forcing plays, but they're not working out here, T1. The only things that's working for them is this objective control. They've got themselves second Herald. They're waiting another 20 seconds for Soul Point. They could honestly look to utilize this in the mid lane, drop it, force pressure onto this tier 1. It's full health basically, but you think about it. You get a crash in, you force the mid lane control, you then force the play onto this Drake, and you essentially pull Weibo between the two lanes. Already Gumayusi starting to kill off the wave, but look where Xiaohu is. Look where Weibo are. They realize that T1 essentially want to get the crash in. They're trying to get pressure down to get access to the river. But Weibo, they're not allowing it to come through. T1 are in an awkward position as already in the bot side of the map, the Shy's got the inside track onto the play. The flank position for Zeus is still available. TP is also available to these two teams if they want to go on the flank deeply. Weiwei already chunked a little bit, not fully. And T1, they're playing content. The Drake's not started just yet. They're fine. They're happy. They're starting to move over right now. The saplings are being a bit of a nuisance. They're just denying so much for T1 in terms of controlling the area. As back to mid we go. Weiwei walking into carrier. The handshake going to go wide, but a hostile takeover. It roots onto this Maokai. The Nature's Grasp are only thrown out onto one member, and now these ultimates unavailable. Face call pulls carrier to safety, and now a lot of big ultis are down. Nature's Grasp is gone. World Ender is gone. All that remains is essentially Dawning Shadow and the Devour for Weibo. Whereas T1, they've got only one ultimate, but they've somehow managed to catch out Xiaohu in the mid lane. Faker flashes, misses the charm, but somehow they're unable to get these kills. The Rift Heralds drop mid, and T1, they're hunting the Fate Seal, pulling through all these members. Light gets killed off as there's no TK to protect him, and T1, they've caught out and found Weibo in the river. They kill off this Aatrox, and now Weiwei, he's on the run once again, but he has nowhere to escape to. Caught out, killed off, shut down. T1, they find the fight, they find 3 members. They don't find the Drake, however. This is turning into an action-packed game once again. We take a look at this fight once again. Xiaohu, he gets caught as Ona goes over. He sees the TK out of position and gets the kick onto this Jace. Well, it looks great at the start. You think the execute will kill off Xiaohu, but it's a great abyssal dive coming out from Chris to deny the kill. Then on the bottom half of the fight, it's just the burst coming out from Zeus. He catches Light, and when he soul unbounds back to safety, he gets the kill. No Senna, no safety, no life for Weibo as they get ran down in T1's jungle. Now, the only saving point from that play was the fact that they denied soul point. No Cloud Soul yet for Weibo to be worried about. And that is a huge thing to consider, as now you start to wonder, do Weibo get this Drake? Did they get this soul? As bot side, that's the soul unbound coming through. I forgot to change my camera. Yikes. Soul unbound and the Fate Seal used. TP forced out. Weibo trying to protect their mid laner, but the Devour. Crisp is running TP. I've only just realised this TK is in protection mode. He realises that this Hullbreaker Yone going to be a menace in side lanes and very hard to deal with. So Weibo need to be responsive, need to protect these towers. The fact that Chris was able to TP there, it kept Xiaohu alive even longer than I expected. He's already been threatened once. He gets away twice. And now Gumayushi could be caught out. Cleanse used. He's got no safety tools. TP's being invested by T1. The hostile takeover is perfect. It lands onto 4 members. The Dawn Shadow goes wide. And Carrier and Gumayushi peeling for one another. T1 collapsing. Hunting. Zeus burning through the health bar of the Jason. Finally Xiaohu falls. Now all of T1 are hunting. They see the TK, the only one left, and Weibo are crumbling once again in T1's jungle. They find the ace, and they're going to find the Baron on top of it. What a big fight from T1, and that certainly should secure Game 1's control. What a big fight. Simply put, it looked doomed. It looked dire. Gumayushi caught out. But the response out from T1, it's so quick. As here, when you start to see Weiwei advancing, he's got no flash. But hey, the abyssal dive comes through. You get tagged by the tongue lash and you slowed. Nature's grasp, twisted advance. This looks doom and gloom as you're brought into 3 members. But this hostile takeover finds 3. Light is forced to flash away from it, and he flashes closer to Zeus and Ona, who just execute him off. Now it's just Faker doing the work that he's needed to do as he just dashes around. He sacrifices his life to get the kills and allows Zeus to pop off in the end. Ona gets the chase down, and now T1 have Baron. Simple as that. It's crisp, it's clean. Unfortunately, it wasn't crisp for Weibo, even though he's playing for them. Regardless of that, let's take a brief look in at items on the board. What are these players working towards? I'm pretty sure Zeus is working towards an IE. I just assume with a pickaxe and BF in his inventory. He still hadn't got his mythic. Obviously went for Hullbreaker second. He'll be a menace in the side lanes as Faker lands the Everfrost Devour popped and used by the Shy and Crisp. Both ultis down now. T1 forcing the aggression. Not using too much either. Only Faker's Spirit Rush was used to get 2 ultis out from Weibo. As the Trader Towers comes through, Weibo get an objective bounty in the top half of the map. But obviously, they are giving up Soul Point to T1. As that top lane pressure kind of indicates that they're not in the area to fight for it. Now, Weibo kind of trying to right the ship. Faker, Owner, and Gumayushi starting to roam down into the Weibo top half of jungle. They want to get more control, more side lane pressure. The fact that Faker's now isolating himself in the top lane, pushing in the wave. Weibo kind of have to play very safe, very cautious, as Faker's going to get this crash into tier 2. Baron for another 20 seconds. This tier 2 and top side should be forfeit. The clap from Weibo, incredibly slow. Keep your eyes though on Weiwei. Watching, waiting to use the Nature's Grasp. But T1, don't overstay. Back away. And Weibo back to farming. Well, I would say back to farming. Weiwei unable to farm up his own raptors as Zeus. This Yone picked on early, killed off for first blood. Now finds himself with a decent advantage. Finally got his IE in his inventory. 3, 2, and 3. He's got himself a bounty and a lot of damage. If Crisp isn't able to devour light in time, chances are a big fate sealed will secure a kill onto the for essentially the enemy top laner. And as a whole, T1 very good at isolating themselves in terms of securing pressure on sides. Look at how they position. They've gone for a 4-1. The Shine Zeus in the bot lane. Obviously, Zeus really does not want to group up with the rest of his team, but mid lane, Weiwei stepping forward. Q not going to land the Bramble Smash. Goes wide. Owner playing on the edge of his limits though, as he kind of was playing a bit dangerous there. Could have been knocked back. It dealt a serious amount of damage to. But he stays around, stays away, and just does work. Back pushing in the top side of the map. T1 not over extending. They're playing the waves correctly. They just push them in as and when they can. Go back to farming the jungle. And that's honestly been a very hard thing to deal with if you're Weiwei. Down 40 CS. Could honestly be a lot worse if he didn't get some early counter jungling. However, this stage, he's kind of being kept away from all his camps. And he's falling further and further behind. Level 12, same level as his support and ADC. It's kind of disappointing. Soon enough, Carrier will be a higher level than him. And that's kind of a surprise to me. But regardless of that, we're already starting to see T1 aggressing onto the map. Keeping Weibo at bay. They've slowed the game down enough to just basically make it so that Drakes are what we're waiting for. Soul in a minute. 50 seconds if you want to be exact. Baron on the table right now. Weibo are being probably pulled across the map for the next minute and a half. T1 can force either objective, and somehow Weibo will always be at a deficit. And this is something T1 is great at, as they can go aggressive. Weiwei getting jumped on as the kick comes through. The Maokai isolated, but Oda, he's taken low. The center fires in shot after shot, but Carrier keeping him alive with the bailout. Not going to fall down as the Wolf Camp keeps the Lee Sin alive a little longer. Obviously does have GA. So Dawning Shadow is down. They're unable to kill off this Lee Sin or pop his Guardian Angel, but the flank is coming. T1 hunting. Carrier spotted though, and Weibo, they back away. They realize they can't contest this Drake. They can't contest this Baron. Their jungler has no ulti, has no flash, has no hopes in stealing this objective. T1 get themselves Cloud Soul off the back of Zeus. And now we'll get the Baron. You have to feel the Maokai. He's spotted. His position known. Carrier, he just needs to man mark. And in the end, Weibo aren't going to step up. Aren't going to contest. In the end, they give up another crucial objective to T1, who are starting the victory march. Faker dashing forward. Flashing away because he misses the charm. T1 getting aggressive. Getting overconfident maybe. Mid lane Zeus trading once again into the Shy. Already popping the Sterit's Gate as the top lane tail one falls. Owner tanking up the Nature's Grass for his team. But look, he goes in. The Devour popped out of Chris. And now Leone gets to pop the life bars. 2 kills. Will it be a triple? No, it will not. Weiwei gets out alive as in the top half of the fight. Kalista kills the Jace. And T1, they get to kill the base. Game 1 goes in favor of the LCK second seed as they take Weibo down. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't expecting the game to be that clean. Let's be honest, I thought it would have been turned into a chaotic mess. Weibo liked chaos, but they weren't able to. T1, once they had control, they made it so hard for Weibo to do anything. And I'm going to have to throw some criticism towards the jungle. Sure, you got early kills, but you were playing on the edge, and sure, you managed to escape several times, but the objective control was not there. I'm pretty sure of the 1, 2, 4, or 6 there, 7. Of the 8 objectives in that game, they only secured 1. And that was a Cloud Drake. That's disappointing, to say the least, as you realistically need some semblance of control of objectives. It's why you go to blue side. Sure, you would like first pick of a strong champion. That's another reason why, because pick ban is so strong. But you have easier avenues into the Drakes, into the Barons, because you're more easily able to control lanes. Now, don't get me wrong, red side still has the same sort of setup for the objectives, but I personally think the fact that they weren't investing into the bot lane to kind of get the lead into your hyper-scaling bot laner and shut down Gumayusi, it's surprising. Because you can't really dive Kalista Renata, because who do you burst out? Because A, if you target the Renata, Fate's Call comes through. And if you target the Kalista, then Bailout comes through. And you die under the tower, and Kalista stays alive. That's the other thing you have to consider. But still, forcing them under the tower, losing CS, is better for you than essentially bleeding in the bot lane to a state where you're not doing enough damage late game because you just have no items. That's kind of where we were at the end of that game, and it's kind of important to note that going into game 2, because hopefully Weibo make a massive change here as we head into our second game. I'm going to take a quick drink because my throat kills me after that one. Let's mix the flavors up. Ugh. Get hair out my mouth. Let's have a glass of water as well while we're at it. So, game 2. Weibo are on blue, T1 are on red. Bands starting out: Ori, Nico, Azir, Jarvan, Ashe, and probably Maokai? I doubt Maokai will be banned after that first performance. Rumble, yeah, that would make sense. Weibo insta-lock the Kalista this time. So they're kind of forcing T1's hands into a matchup revolving around the Kalista. Instead, this does give over some power picks. You can obviously go mid lane for Faker. You can go jungle, secure the Maokai for yourselves. Put Weiwei on a different pick, something he's not found success on. And actually, T1, they see the Renata as the controlling pick. Will Maokai come alongside it? I think that would honestly be a strong pairing. Renata Maokai, Nature's Grasp, and a hostile takeover would make the most sense. I'm not falling for that pick because it's been hovered so many times. Personally, I think you go Maokai here. Never mind. They're throwing the gauntlet down. That's the Draven locked in for Gumayushi. Oh boy. You can tell I haven't watched this series. Anyway. Weibo, how do they respond? What gets paired alongside this Kalista? I would not like that. I would honestly prefer a heavy engaged support. Something that can allow you to go in. Heimerdinger even if you want to go for a bit of AP. Something that's not called Senna would have been my call. I don't like Senna's paired with Kalistas. I don't like range with Kalista at all. I think this is, realistically speaking, quite a weak bot lane for Weibo. I mean, I get why you do it, because you kind of want to contest the Renata and Draven and deny their pressure. Because, let's be honest, Draven will obviously want to be hunting for kills. Renata kind of amplifies that hunt as Maokai gets locked in here. It's going to be another battle of the ultis between them two. T1 probably will lock in a pick here for Faker, I'd assume. Take Zeus's big picks off the board. He's going to get his Sylas. So he's keeping his pool very, very shallow here at Worlds as he gets his third game of Sylas at the tournament. It's not pick much, but looking at these ultimates, realistically speaking, Dawning Shadow? Yes, please. Nature's Grasp? Sign me up, buddy. This puts Weibo in a bit of a situation where do they want to give over these powerful ultimates to a Sylas? Only time will tell as Jace removed off the board by T1. Poppy by Weibo. Obviously a massive counter pick to two of Weibo's champs. Xante removed. Will Aatrox be taken off the board here? It would make sense for it to be removed here, as I'm pretty sure T1 will first pick it in Phase 2. Weibo could also remove Jungler's Lee Sin, still prevalent. But it's either going to be Yone maybe removed. There you go. That gets taken off the board. So that does leave Aatrox up and available. I would honestly say slam that in if you're T1. Compile that with a Draven, you've got a lot of aggression. But more aggression comes from a Nocturne. A lot more in terms of locking down the targets, chasing them down. That was something that T1 lacked in the first game, was the chase down. As they allowed this Maokai and Jace from game 1 to escape so goddamn often on slivers of health, this Paranoia will be able to lock them down a little bit more easily. Last pick up here for Weibo will be the Aatrox and presumably the Ahri. That would make a lot of sense. Obviously Spirit Rush is kind of powerful in the Silas's hands, though I would say it's not as beneficial as, say, what's good in the mid lane at the moment other than Azir and Ori. Oh, there's a Gwen. Never mind. Actually, that makes sense. Gwen into Aatrox is a matchup we've seen before, and I'm pretty sure that Gwen lost. But I'm pretty sure it's also a Zeus comfort pick. But hey, it is what it is, and we're getting into game 2. T1 have a lot of dive, a lot of aggression, and a lot of forms of engage. Weibo, they've got a alright team comp that has a lot of peel, a lot of flexibility to protect themselves. How will this shape up on the Rift? Only time will tell. We are heading into game number 2. T1, Weibo Gaming. T1 lead the series 1-0. Win here, they get on to match point. A loss ties this series up and forces E1 back to the drawing board once again. Game number 2. The rubber match, the strap match, whatever you want to call it. The game that gets us to the person who's either on match point or evens out the series. As we get ready, I'm really looking forward to this one, as we've got 2 very aggressive teams now for this game. And this looks like we'll certainly start to see more aggression than what we did in game 1. It'll be less controlled, more explosive, and 2 teams looking to fight, as already the level 1 plays coming out from Weibo, trying to get early kills, early pickoffs onto T1. However, they've left their top half of the map open. Already, T1 got themselves a ward onto this blue buff, and Maokai, his jungle, gonna be in a bit of a situation. I need to do that. You would have thought I'd got used to doing that by now. But hey. Let's go. The teams start their fan out. Weibo have dropped a ward in the bot lane, as there's no sweepers looking at items. Nothing out the ordinary. Dorans across the board, except for mid. Ahri started longsword, so presumably she's going for static shiv. A little surprising on that start for Xiaohu. But hey, obviously the extra minion damage. Sure, why not? As bot side, Gumayushi forced the flash early. Ignite was dropped by Crisp as well as top side. Gwen taking a bit of damage, obviously hits level 2 first. Could look to trade it back with an EQ combination. Hits the max stacks of the Snip Snip. Ready to go. Will not actually pop it, I don't think. Playing safe, obviously wants to avoid the sweet spots from the Qs from the Aatrox, as Ona comes through mid lane, dashing forward, hunting. Xiaohu could be caught out, and yet again, mid laners trade flashes. T1 this time won't give up a kill, as Ona, he sees the Raptors, not going to be able to pick up any of these camps. He is, however, just going to force Weiwei on the awkward path, shall we say. And the big issue, though, for this Nocturne is he is falling behind in terms of the clear speed that the Maokai can have. And that's kind of surprising because Nocturne, obviously, a very quick clearer with the passive, able to clear out Raptor camps and Krugs quite quickly due to the nature of the passive having AoE, making his autos heal as well. So he's got very good sustain in clearing out camps. And it's a bit surprising that he gave up a lot of pressure there. Regardless, he clears up, picks up himself Scuttle Crab, and back out onto the Rift he goes. Looking at bot side, Crisp is hovering here. His position is now known. Gets a little bit damage down onto Gimyushi, but it's only tickling him. Obviously, playing a bit more respectful due to not having flash as top side. The Shy taking quite a bit of damage. This is probably one of the more interesting top lane matchups because of both these champions having such good innate sustain with the healing that each has. It's very hard to kind of determine who wins this matchup, so it's realistically more so a skill-based matchup. Top side is going as expected in that sense as the trades come through. The Shy getting chunked quite a bit. No junglers in the area. Never mind. Weiwei, he's here. He's hunting. And he's going to get on top of this Gwen once again. A good dash there from the Zeus means that he isn't going to be killed. And he is forced to burn his ghost, however. Looking at mid. Faker getting push out here. Owner hovering, protecting his mid laner. Not allowing this Maokai any breathing room. This is probably going to be a camp steal away. Maokai going to have to back away. His back's cancelled. And he goes without another camp. Gromp stolen by Owner. And he's just camping in this jungle. He's going to steal away this entire top half of the map. This is huge and kind of talks a lot about Weiwei's playstyle. We said that he isn't that aggressive sort of jungler that plays early aggression. And it's certainly showing here. He's kind of being subdued once more by Owner, who in game 1 was able to pick up a massive CS lead due to how aggressive he played in the jungle. He denied camps. He denied areas on the map from his counterpart. And Weibo just let it happen. There was no real plays coming out from support to protect him, to allow the Maokai any form of control. And could this be due to a shallow champion pool for Weiwei, where he's kind of forced to play Maokai if he wants to find late game impact? Because realistically speaking, you're only playing Maokai for A, the saplings to control areas and get vision, and B, the ultimate, having mass amounts of CC. No. This game, I'm kind of happy with how he's changing it around a little bit by actually securing this Drake. That's a big change up compared to game number 1. But could this be a bit of an issue though for the entirety of the game? Because going for the Drake has put him quite far behind this Nocturne in terms of clears. And with Owner hitting level 6, this paranoia is a big threat. As the needlework chucked out, the snips through, do a lot of damage, and there comes Owner. The World Ender is used, and that Nocturne almost dies to the tower. The Shy, he plays that perfectly to avoid... I jinxed it. I jinxed it. He played it perfectly to survive the gank, but he got too greedy. He wanted to kill the minions under his tower. But Zeus gets paid. The assist gold also goes over to Owner. That is what we consider a misplay and a half from the Shy. It's here. He should just back it up. But he realizes the wave will crash. Zeus will force it in. So he tries to farm it. But there, it's a great use of the W from the Gwen to deny the Qs. And there, the Shy knows he made the mistake. And T1 happy to get first blood. Happy to now have a controlling jungler. This Nocturne obviously will have a lot of protection. Now that he's got a little bit of gold from the assisters bot side. The handshake comes through. Gumayushi's hunting. And he gets the big kill. Payday for the Draven as he claims his fame. Now Weibo setting up in the top side of the map. Light, Crisp and Weiwei hunting. Jumping on top of Zeus. The Nature's Grasp is used, but he will not be able to escape. Gwen somehow surviving. Snipping. Faker in the area. The Nature's Grasp is thrown out. But Zeus, he's still alive. How is he still able to get so far away? He's probably still going to fall. He dodges, dashes, and he gets executed. That's a big outplay by T1 to not get killed off and give over gold to Weibo. What? How does the Gwen not get killed by Weibo there? That's excellently played. A great collapse in from Faker. Stealing away the Nature's Grasp to keep his teammate alive long enough so that there's no goal given over. Now T1 sit with a 2k gold lead as Faker jumped on by the Shy. Not going to be punished. And instead T1, they go back out onto the map looking for objectives themselves. Herald was secured by Weibo. And this is a massive switch up from game 1. Weiwei was giving over these objectives pretty easily to T1. And now he sits with 2 out of 2. That's pretty good. Now the big issue is mid lane. Faker gets aggressive. I saw the Silas play where he just absolutely deletes Xiaohu. But it won't happen in the end. Just gonna be a little bit of trading. Oh boy. 300 gold lead for this Draven who's behind so much CS is kind of impressive, to say the least. But probably would have been more of a gold lead to Light if he was able to pick up the kill onto Zeus there in the top side. So it is surprising that T1 still are very, what I would call, stable in the bot side. Draven obviously is playing a lot more defensive, but the fact is he's still able to farm, able to get gold. While sure he's slightly behind, it's going to be a bit of an issue because obviously Senna will get more gold, who's sitting quite far ahead of this Renata. But mid lane, Herald was dropped by Weibo. They were able to secure a couple of plates for only Weiwei. Herald not really utilized too effectively. Xiaohu did not get any extra gold. He obviously was fearing for the paranoia. Fearing for T1's engage. And that is something that needs to be addressed. Already, Owner is hunting. Xiaohu could be caught out. Faker steals away the Spirit Rush. Will not pull the trigger. Instead, it's Weibo pulling the trigger. Heading on to the Drake. Starting it up. T1 looking to respond. TP used here by Faker. Nature's Grasp thrown out. And in the end, it's going to be a smite secure for Weibo. Hostile takeover goes wide. And Weibo get themselves onto their second Drake of this game. And they're looking for another Cloud Soul. That's not the best as topside. Needlework being thrown out as a World Ender popped alongside it. Snipping through the health bar is Zeus. But the Shy, he gets to stay alive. No overcommitting there by T1's top laner. And in the end, it's just a bit of health bar trade. Probably will force a TP out from the Shy if he's not able to respond in time. Because it's looking like Zeus is setting up a bit of a freeze. He isn't going to TP, okay. He's holding his TP. Zeus sets up the freeze. Deny quite a bit of CS here. Already a cannon lost. The Shy content in just walking up to lane. But this could be a bit of an issue, as hovering around that lane is going to be Ona. Mid lane, the Spirit Rush used. Xiaohu chunked quite a bit. But this Nocturne, hovering, hunting, paranoia through, flash burnt out from this Aatrox. Dawning Shadow used as well. Is that an overcommit from Weibo? Are they feeling the pressure that T1 are putting onto them? Now T1, they invest one ulti for essentially two big, powerful teamfighting ones. This should probably result in T1 securing a Herald. No big protection, no shielding for T1, for Weibo I should say. And that lane economy graph, that's flipped from the last time we saw it. Zeus is ahead by quite a bit. Gone for the Riftmaker build so he can sustain and match what this Aatrox is doing in fights and stay alive a lot longer than what you would see from any other build. He also will have the ability to heal up with the Qs, as well as do insanely high amount of damage with the needlework due to the AP integration the Riftmaker has. Now, looking at what's happening right now on the map, Weibo securing this Herald once again. Double TP coming through as one from either side is utilized. Hostile takeover only finds one member, but it will not result in a kill. As in the top half of the fight, it is going to be the Shy falling. The Aatrox is down as the 3-man kill squad for T1 picks him off. It was looking like Weibo were going to get out scot-free with this Herald, but in the end, T1 are finding the kills and they're finding the pressure. As honestly, it was a 3v4 looking fight, to be honest. As a handshake lands, that's also going to be the Whirling Death utilized. Crisp not going to be bursted out enough to be executed off by the Draven ult. And this we get to watch again. I was watching the bottom half of the fight realistically when the fight kicked off. So we look at the top half. Faker, he's on the flank. The Nature's Grasp is nowhere near him, so he utilizes the stolen one. It tags onto the Shy, and then it's just 3 members slicing through his health bar. The single isolation burst damage the T1 has, the targets just get melted. And that was an example of it just there. What more needs to be said than T1? If they're able to find a squishy target, they're gonna burst them and kill them off in a fight. Faker having the ability to steal the Nature's Grasp, as well as that hostile takeover, realistically making it hard for Weibo to essentially ascertain areas of control. T1 can kind of force them into choke points where they get killed off as bot side. Xiaohu hit by the Stride Breaker, and once again the Dawning Shadow invested. Again, you could argue it was a waste. It didn't keep Xiaohu alive. He was already out from the play. T1, they get another ulti out. But will that result in another objective for Weibo? That's how it's gone recently, as T1 force ults, force summoners out from Weibo, but they still somehow give over an objective to the LPL 4th seed. And while the gold, realistically speaking, is swinging heavily in favor of T1, Weibo still have these big controlling things to get themselves towers, to get themselves control on the Rift. But T1 up front have the damage that Weibo cannot match at this stage of the game. The center, obviously being a full-on support, is going to be quite far behind. T1 hunting on the flank. Zeus being matched by the Shy. Forced back, forced retreat, but look at this flank. Faker finds the back line. Hostile takeover comes through, and Light is first to fall. Onto the backside goes his Nocturne, who gets bailed out, but in the end will still fall as Faker running down Chris. It's going to be a massive fight in favor of T1 as they just find nearly everyone. The only one left alive is Xiaohu, and T1, they stop the Drake stack and stop Weibo's form of objective control. What more needs to be said than this game? It's going to be slowed down yet again. T1 once again get in control of the Rift. So we start this one off. Just keep your eyes on Faker. The paranoia comes through, so his flank is unknown once that control ward is turned off. That allows for T1 to burst out Light. The Callista unable to dodge and dive to safety as Chris almost gets Faker in the isolated 1v1, but the Kingslayer keeps alive the Silas, so Faker gets another kill. T1, while realistically speaking, have been in control of the eco for quite a long period of time. Weibo have done well to get the objectives. It's only here where they fall, because T1 actually contest them at this one. They don't give it over. And they say, no, no, no. No objective control for you. There's Xiaohu. Not going to go over the wall. Faker steals away the Dawning Shadow. Weibo fighting over wards. That's what it's come down to now. As they're realistically speaking trying to protect their side lanes. T1 looking to siege out onto the map. They realize the standing gold is these tier 1s. They realize that they need to get pressure on. Open up the mid lane. Name of the game is get area control in the side lanes. Dawning Shadow used. Shielding gain for T1. But in the end, it's going to be a lot of damage down onto Owner. Hostile takeover also utilized. But that does very little. And Weibo, they're on the hunt. The Ahri dashing forward. The Spirit Rush will not find a target. And in the end, Oda, he kills off Chris. He gets onto backline once more. And Xiaohu falls. T1, they kill off 2 members. And they get themselves, arguably, possibly onto this Baron. Weiwei still alive on a sliver of health. How does this Maokai keep getting away on tiny fractions of HP? What was that engage also by Crisp as well? Overcommitting here as T1. They utilize the shield from the Dawning Shadow to kind of tank up the Nature's Grasp. And while Owner takes mass amounts of damage, he's not threatened here until Xiaohu dashes forward. Good dodge there by Carrier on the charm. Does not get hit by it. Same with Gumayushi to flash away from the Fate's Call. Then onto the backline goes the Nocturne with the Paranoia. Then look how low Weiwei gets. One more auto, probably from Gumayushi, would have killed him. And that was a 4v4. Imagine if Zeus got involved. Or the Shy. Both had TP. Both held their triggers, realizing they could get something in the side lanes. And that's kind of where we're starting to get to. Zeus once again trying to control the sides of the map. He's been an absolute menace on the Yone in game 1 with the Hullbreaker, just playing in isolation from his team. And here in game 2, well, Hullbreaker, not technically an item AP carries go towards. He's certainly doing the same sort of things with the amount of pressure he's putting down onto the side lanes, as he's already forced the bot lane in towards this tier 2. Top side of the map, Faker kills off the outer tower. And that's going to allow T1 a little bit extra control of this river. As what we're seeing right now is highlighted there. A full item difference. Nash's Tooth and Riftmaker versus Dustblade. Simply put, the Shy has been put down in game 2. He's been kept quiet. Same story in the jungle. 2 items versus components. T1 have kept the top half of the map quiet from Weibo in game 2. While game 1, they started to get a bit chirpy, get aggressive, they got first blood. But this time, when they tried to do the exact same play, T1 respond in kind by playing more safe. The Gwen gets away and doesn't get punished. Same story for the mid lane gank. Faker plays safe, doesn't get punished. And we kind of haven't talked about him too much in this game, but 1-0-6. He isn't the big kill hog that you would expect with a Silas. He's also been setting up the team with the Everfrost. Now, we are getting to the point of the game where big objectives are on the table. T1 obviously know that Soul isn't a big priority to them, as a root's gonna land. Faker gets chunked quite a bit. Gonna go protect his jungler, who's taking the Drake. Weibo fully aware that this is happening and is starting to path up to this Baron. I'm surprised that they're not just pulling the trigger on the objective. Do you want to have no vision control, and in the end, Shy gonna keep them? Well, he was possibly looking to engage onto them, but realizes that's a bit of an issue. T1 also have cleared out any vision. Weibo have of the objective. So, as it stands, Weibo unable to get anything on the map. The objective control is zilch in game 2. Nada. Nothing. And Weibo realizing match point is on the table. T1 edging closer to the World Championships here, to winning their 4th title. And Weibo haven't got anything in this game. It's slow. It's uninspiring. And you think they've got kills as bot side. The Shy and Owner going aggressive. The Dawn in Shadow was invested. But hey, paranoia finds its mark. And this Aatrox is kept down even more. Now there's no one for Weibo in the bottom half of the map. And they're forced to reset. Forced to rotate. T1 getting themselves a tier 2 and a kill for pretty much nothing. They invested, what? Flash from Nocturne. That's Cosmic Drive picked up for Zeus. Pretty nice. Bloodthirster for Gumayushi. They're going to be doing a lot of work here. 3 items complete. 3 items to the 1 of the Aatrox. Oh god. This is an 07 moment. Because Weibo have not been able to do much. They've kind of just thrown this game from the early stages. As they've just allowed this Gwen to get ahead as a charm. Does decent work. Tags up Owner, who does take a substantial amount of damage. But here's the issue. T1 can turn to the Baron. The contest from Weibo is slow. The Nature's Grasp comes through, but the Paranoia timing just slightly off. The hostile takeover forces way back, and in the end T1 go aggressive as here comes Zeus snipping through the health bars. The needlework won't find its mark or a kill just yet, as in the top half of the fight Faker is caught out, forced flash away from light as the Rend pulls through all the spears, unable to get a kill on either side of the rift. T1 though walk away with the Baron, and that should probably be the outer towers and these tier 2s falling. Weibo, they lose the Baron. They lose an objective yet again. But T1 unable to capitalize on Weibo being pulled to them, corralled in, but not killed off. What can happen now is only do or die for Weibo. They get away with the skin of their teeth there, but they are playing from behind. The Senna 0, 2, and 1 complete item, and it's not a mythic, is sitting on 73. Yikes. Very low amounts of souls, to be honest. You expect realistically close to 100, 120 at this stage of the game, honestly. But Faker, we're looking down at him, has got himself a Shadow Flame. Kind of a weird build to see on the Silas. Obviously, the extra burst damage to go through the Maokai health bar. I am surprised it's still Demonic Embrace Maokai. I'm happy it's Radiant Virtue second, because it's more bulky. And obviously with the Ari in this game, he doesn't need to be the full damage dealer. Someone who does need to be a full damage dealer, though, is this Callista. Got herself a Rage Blade, got herself Bork. Probably going to go Hurricane as bot side. The Paranoia use getting on top of this Maokai, but on the flank is this Gwen snipping through the health bars. Picks up the triple kill, I believe, and is looking for more. The triple, technically the official triple, the unofficial quadra kill comes through, and Zeus, he opens up Weibo for another T1 win. The Nexus towers will fall, and a clinical execution ends game 2. Weibo suffered in that game. And red side victories just seem to be coming easily to T1 after this tournament has been a story of blue side dominance. Weibo unable to find anything on their blue side. Could they find anything in game number 3, which we're heading into right now after I have a quick drink? Nice. So, game 3. Has Weibo taken red side? Have they garnered some semblance of control? Nope. Sticking to blue. Band staying relatively the same, except T1 banned Rumble second instead of third, like they did in game number 1 and 2. Nico removed from the board as finally the Renata taken away. They realize it's causing issues. The hostile takeover providing so much control, and that's kind of left Azir open with the fact the Ashe is also taken off the board. Now T1, do they go Silas yet again for Faker? They've also got options in Maokai, but instead they go the Lovers duo. What? Oh boy, this is interesting. Where do we see these two teams going now? Because this has just changed the tempo. I was not expecting Zyra Khan 1-2 for T1. And the reason is, it's not really something we've seen from them this entire tournament. Gumayushi and Carrier have just been playing everything but the meta picks, if you think about it. And one of them picks that they've found a lot of success on is the Varus, who comes through for light in game number 3, looking for the extra burst to try and dissuade the Rakan, who obviously you can go for a Heimerdinger, which is good at controlling the brushes to not allow any engage. They are going to go Bard instead. I mean, I would have honestly preferred this is calling Mickey X a Lissandra, his sort of pick there. But Bard comes through. I'm not entirely happy about it. I mean, you are providing some form of entranceways and escapes for the team, because, to be honest, all it seems to be doing for Weibo is them running. So having a easier escape plan is going to be nice with the Bard. But that's an Akali just locked in for T1, and unless it's going to Zeus, we're going to be treated to a Faker Akali in game number 3. Poppy removed off the board by T1, as Maokai also removed. The junglers haven't locked in the pick, so we'll probably see a bit more targeting towards them. Same story with the top lanes. In fact, both teams have matched role for role. I'm pretty sure Weibo will stick to the jungle bands because obviously Akali flexible in terms of where it could be placed. So what is there jungle-wise that you can be banned? Never mind, they go Jace. That's actually kind of smart because it can stop a flex. Because Jace can go mid, it can go top, Akali can go mid and top. So you kind of shut down that flex. As T1 lock in the Lee Sin, they get the pick from game 1 that found some semblance of success in pushing team Weibo into the rest of T1. The response from them will be the Bel'Veth, and what will be paired alongside it. I don't think we'll see the Shy's Cannon. I'm wrong. The Shy's Cannon, a pick he's infamous for, comes through here in game number 3. This is a very explosive draft for Weibo. And looking at it, they're looking to hunt and to fight. They've got a lot of burst. I'm intrigued by what build the Shy goes with this cannon. Will it be the full burst? There's obviously builds of pass where you go attack speed, or more of a sustain heavy build. You can go with cannon now, I believe, but it's not one of them picks we tend to see too often. However, I'm actually going to do a quick check to see what builds you typically see on cannon. Here, it's in general this year, because it's a weird champion, isn't it? All things considered. There we go. Cannon. This year, the typical builds are Rocket Belt. Rocket Belt, Static Shiv is the other element of the builds that we tend to see. It's typically Rocket Belt on this patch. No Static Shiv anymore, or it comes very late in the build, as it used to be typically a pretty strong item, to be honest, across many different champions. Kaiser, I remember that at the start of the year being very hard to deal with. Static Shiv taking over the meta, to be honest, for the majority of this year. But now at Worlds, it fell off, and it's not really seen anymore. As game number 3, the final chance for Weibo to pick up a victory before they're eliminated and T1 take home the crown. They need to grind throughout the rest of this series if they want the glory, as they're down 0-2 in this grand finals. It's nothing out the ordinary in terms of starts, except for the fact the Bard got an early ward in this top half of the map. And that's kind of symbolic of the fact that both teams have kind of early aggressed into the top lane. We saw in game 1, Weiwei and Ona 2v2 fighting to kick off the game. And in game number 2, we saw an early gank towards the Gwen that didn't result in a kill. It did force out her ghost, but there is no ghost to be found in this game. Except on Gumayushi and Light. So there you go. I'm wrong. There's no ghost in the top side, is what I'm trying to imply. As both top laners have got TP and have the ability to join up with the rest of the team whenever they like. Of note, we've also got Zeus on the Aatrox this time. It's probably not going to be that Gore Drinker or... Actually, no. The Shy went full Duskblade, didn't he, in game number 2? That's kind of a surprise, because I expect the Gore Drinker build out from him. Regardless, Aatrox now on Zeus's hands, and he is known for the Duskblade build. It's kind of the more so damage-heavy sort of builds. And going up against a Kennen who's gone cool. I need to point that out. He's gone cool. He is going to be looking to just sustain through the poke and harass the Kennen can have. And already the wave is being pushed by the Shy. Zeus forced to play a bit more defensive. Obviously wary of the mass amount of damage output this Kennen has early. The fact that the Shy is also just farming up is good for her. Zeus, because he's kind of happy to make it through to the late game unscathed. As Aatrox, obviously with the World Ender, able to do mass amounts of damage as well as healing to keep himself alive. The amount of clips of G2 being destroyed to Aatrox Qs is unreal. And as such, it's kind of important to note that Aatrox is a bitch when it comes to ruining Europe. And hopefully it's going to be a bitch to destroy Weibo. I don't mean that. Anyway, take a look at the CSDs. I didn't see where the Belveth started. However, due to the fact that there's a ward on her Raptors, kind of indicates that she stole away Raptors, and Ona did the exact same thing as top side. Shy jumped on the Q3, landed from this Aatrox, and once again, top lane pressure is where we see the early aggression, as Ona picks up first blood for T1. Finally, I believe that's the first blood for T1 in this series. As once again, they find the kills onto Ona. This Lee Sin getting paid once more is always a big thing to note. The Gore Drinker will be coming through earlier as mid lane. Q misses from this Lee Sin, but he doesn't need it to jump forward. He gets on top of Xiaohu. Faker, he tanks the tower shots, stays alive. Lovely grand entrance from Carrier to keep his support at bot laner alive, but he gives up his life to the the Varus arrow. I'm losing my mind here. Overall, a good responsive play from Weibo, utilizing the magical journey to ferry in Weiwei all the way to the lane. I hate myself. Now, I'm just waiting to see what the first back brings for Light, who is just hovering down there. I thought he would take a full reset. Never mind, he's taking it now. This might be a little bit too delayed. Anyway, top side Crisp is here, as you do. First back coming through for the Varus. Boots and his longsword picked up. Pretty nice to say the least. You get the extra movement speed. Top side, Crisp is still hovering, protecting the Shy. As Weiwei, he's also up here. T1 could be susceptible to a dive as another magical journey forces Zeus into a run. The world ender was popped, but his world is the one that's being ended. Weibo utilized that same combo yet again to secure themselves another kill into the back pockets of Weibo. The Shy using the slicing maelstrom to get the crash in. The wave gonna hit the tower, and that's gonna be coming back towards him. This is overall, I'd say, very beneficial to Weibo. However, T1's response slightly more impactful in terms of the long run as they get themselves a Hex Drake and get themselves pressure into this tier 1 in the bot lane. That should probably be a decent chunk of gold over to Gumayusi. However, it isn't a massive amount of gold like a kill that, spoiler alert, Light has got. Now, arguably, we haven't really talked about the mid lane, as Faker and Zirahu kind of been left in isolation. Nothing out of the ordinary down there, as the action's been on sides. Weiwei and Crisp just doing work together to get the advantages over to Weibo, who have a nice 500 gold lead at this stage of the game. I'm looking at the clock and seeing 35 seconds until Herald. I'm watching Carrier and where he goes here. He's taken his reset now, which is good. Going to be up towards his top half of the map for this Herald spawn. Same story with Gumayusi if they want to contest it. He's going to be taking a reset now. Light staying in the bot side. T1 have spotted Crisp on his roam up. So realistically speaking, this movement from Faker to kind of threes the wave outside of his tower is going to make it a bit easier for Xiaohu to kind of respond and make a play towards this Herald. As finally, it's actually going to be Gumayusi heading to the bot side. He's just going to match up with Light in terms of pressure on the map. Instead, T1 are turning their attention to the Shy, who's forced to use his E to get away. The kick, the Dragon's Kick, comes through. The Slicing Maelstrom denies any more aggression. The stuns stop Owner from getting the kill, as now Weiwei shown his presence in the top side. Flash out from Owner, and Lee Sin is ran down as the Bard is out onto the map to get the kill. T1 overcommit, some would say, into this top lane as Faker. He's here, but a bit too late. There's Carrier and Faker, the Akali, not going to get much done here around this Rift Herald. And instead, you have to feel this Bel'Veth gonna get the Void Remora on her side. And that's going to be very nice in terms of getting pressure onto the map. As bot side, Light and Gumayusi still trading. The feathers are going to be pulled back, but it's just a tickle of the health bar of the Varus. He levels up and heals back that little bit of damage that the feathers did. Overall, that's just summoners burnt. Just ghosts gone from the bot laners who went all out against one another. Is here. This looked clean. Owner looked to have almost got the kill there. That Slicing Maelstrom, it denied the aggression from T1. Here, it's just a well-placed W out from the Bel'Veth to deny the jump back, to deny the flash out from Owner to safety. Then the collapse came through from Crisp and the kill was secured. Simple as can be. T1, they're losing in Game 3. Yet again, they're losing. It seems to be a common trait. They lose the early game to win late. Will that be the same story here? Only time will tell, as it stands. We're not even at a stage of first items, except on Bel'Veth, because of course Bel'Veth. The Shy currently is sitting with 12 CS remaining on his call. I expect him to go back and buy Rocket Belt as soon as that's fully stacked up. Or he's probably got the goal for it now. I'm actually surprised that he hasn't picked up a kill yet. Considering the investment top from Weiwei and from Crisp, both kills have been taken by the jungler and the Bard. So, there have realistically been no benefits to the Shy, bar the small amount of assist gold you get. Anyway, T1 they have to cede pressure in the mid lane due to the Herald, as a possible play could come through, as that's going to be the charm coming through. They're getting onto Jiaohu, who's going to be forced to slide and glide away. But Zeus, he kills off this Belveth, catching him on the sides as the dash forward comes from Ona. He's found the Shy as Gumayushi on the flank, going to be able to join up with the rest of his team, but he is not needed as Zeus picks up the double kill for T1, who get themselves onto this Cloud Drake. But Weibo aren't done here. Jiaohu has TP back in. Crisp and Light are here as well. This could be an overcommit, an overstay from Weibo. As the Temper Fate, it lands on 3 members, but Faker, he's pushing them back. Weibo cannot advance, cannot find anything. And this is honestly looking like a waste of a TP. Jiaohu, he invests his teleport and gets absolutely nothing. In fact, he's going to lose pressure in the mid lane as the CS gets killed off. Now, what we were saying about the lead that was picked up in the top side, it's kind of been negated here. As Zeus, he was able to pick up a couple kills for himself here. As this charm, the quickness, finds all 3 members of Weibo who got caught out. Faker went diving into the backside. And as Weiwei flashed, trying to get to safety, he jumps into the loving arms of Zeus. Then the chase down comes through. Lee Sin, so slippery, slow, elusive. He's able to be even better on chasing. He gets on top of the cannon and gets himself a setup, a assist for Zeus. The Aatrox is coming online with his Dustblade picked up in the inventory. And obviously, if you think about it, Dustblade into a cannon is very, very strong. You can kind of go invulnerable as the Slicing Maelstrom is utilized if you're able to time your Qs correctly and get a kill. And that's quite an impactful thing because you just deny a lot of what Weibo want to do with this one item. Now, as it stands, he isn't the only one with a mythic on board. In fact, all of the top half of the map have their mythics now, as Rocket Belt was picked up by the Shy. That turret plating, even. I'm actually surprised by that. But hey. Weiwei and the Shy back onto the map. 50 seconds until this Herald, hence why they're in the top side as well. Will T1 contest this one? Only time will tell. This late economy snapshot shows how much of a lead that Zeus has been able to pick up for himself. It's impactful. It's impressive. The fact that, realistically speaking, one gank has garnered this lead, and it certainly came from essentially the fact that none of the kills went over to the Shy. It's a bit disappointing. The Bard got kills and paid. The Belveth got a kill and got paid. But this cannon, the big burst damage carry that you need in the late game, 2 assists to the name, not much gold in the game. And that's a big statement to note, as realistically speaking, the burst that this cannon can pump out usually is quite high if he's able to time it right. However, with how far behind he's actually getting, it means that he isn't able to respond to Faker in the sides, because he just would get bursted out. He's not able to realistically deal with Zeus anymore, and so he's kind of forced to group up with the rest of his team, which is a death sentence as Faker coming on the flank, hunting. The W from Belveth goes wide, and Herald resets. T1 group up as 5, hunting, looking for the objective. Gumayushi and Light go rotating back to the mid lane. They're done with that objective, and instead, both teams back off from the Herald, meaning that Weibo they're losing precious time, losing precious avenues into getting another Bel'Veth passive, a Bel'Veth ultimate. T1, they know it. They're just pulling the Herald, denying it any form of access into the pit. This is just huge maneuvers on the map by T1 to deny Weiwei a way to play the game. Now, as we were talking earlier about the Herald being set up by Weibo, T1 managed to secure a push in the bot lane. Faker did that and then TP'd up. But right now, the response from T1 is to send everyone bot. They realize Drake control is minimal in this game for Weibo. 2 Drakes to none is where T1 sit. And as such, they're kind of looking, hunting. And this kind of puts Weibo in a situation where they can go get themselves this Rift Herald for themselves. As Faker not going to be caught out by the Bel'Veth. Honestly, I would prefer T1 and Weibo to trade objectives. Weibo take either... I presume the Drake would be better for them at this stage to deny the stacking. Trade the Herald. Give up a Bel'Veth passive. For essentially stopping the power spike T1 will be getting. Ocean Soul is what we're playing for in this game. It's not another Cloud Rift. It's not another Cloud Soul. The CDRs does not really matter, as on the flank comes Carrier. The slicing Maelstrom lands onto no one. And in the end, the Shy is forced out low. Killed off by Faker. And T1 continuing to chase Xiaohu being hunted. Jumped on. The Azir low. Almost will fall to Faker. And now the rest of T1 jumps into the backline. It's a triple kill for the Akali. But somehow, some way, Light and the Bel'Veth find a way to trade 2 kills back. The low health bars, though, sit on Weibo's side. And as such, T1, they get control around the river. Back into the Drake pit they go. And back towards Soul Point in game number 3. The steal. Give me Yushi's steal. Not going to come through. Drake secured for T1 as we watch this again. Eyes on Carrier. Flash Charm onto 2 members. Faker gets in, bursts them through. Perfect timing on the stopwatch. The Emperor's Divide and Slicing Maelstrom wasted by Weibo. This means there's no big engage, no burst, and no chances for Weibo in this fight. As Faker, he just does it all. This Akali is crisp and clean. And sure, in the end he falls to a Bel'Veth ult. But he's still able to get triple. Not much more needs to be said than that was a big ulti, big stopwatch from Faker to secure that teamfight victory. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I think the comms in Weibo are going off a little bit wonky. Because both Emperor's Divide alongside the Slicing Maelstrom is like not the best as Faker going aggressive, perfect execution, R1 used as he gets the E onto the Akali, jumping forward. That's actually a massive kill as they shut down the Shy once again. Temper Fate goes wide as the charm comes through from this Rakan, locking up the Bard, but the chase down from T1, 4 members strong, get themselves a massive 3 kills. They force the TP out once again from Zhao, who I'm surprised T1 didn't dive him, but that results in a lot of bloodshed from Weibo as they lose out on this play. Baron, almost a guarantee for T1 as once again Faker, he's hunting, looking to burst out a carry, already jumping onto him. There's Bork propped out from this Varus, who's just able to trade Baron for the mid lane tier 1. And this here is what we like to call Faker's feeling himself. Dashing forward with the R1, gets on top of the cannon. E lands, Slicing Maelstrom Well, it does get this. It doesn't get the stun. Never mind. Faker just dodges it perfectly. Tempered Fate goes wide. The pressure is being felt here by Weibo as Faker, he dives forward, which allows Zeus to come in and sweep up the kills. Baron now in T1's favour, looking to push out onto the map. Faker already out in the bot lane, already looking for the tier 2. T1 will lose their tier 1 in the top lane to the minions. Objective bounty secured. But as a whole, they're going to get themselves the mid lane tier 1, you have to feel, off of this play. Weibo, they can't stay out on the rift and contest. They can't match the pressure that T1 have. The big purple worm buff provides so much for T1. And with how long it's left, on this buff, it will overlap as the Ocean Soul spawns. T1 happy, content with how this game is going now. Game 1 and 2, there was elements of closeness, and then it got blown up. It's similar sort of time in Game 1. Game 2 slightly closer, but this game is looking like an absolute repeat of the first game in this series. Weibo have been silenced. They've not been able to find anything on the map. And you've got to give the credit where credit is due to T1 and specifically Faker. But Carrier caught out in the jungle. Flash is, however, being burnt away from Weibo as they just are killed off. The Bard shut down as Zeus is dominating the opponents. Lee Sin finds another kill as in the bottom half of the fight, it's the Akali and the Rakan dashing through the tower to secure themselves a kill. The Slicing Maelstrom also used, and Guma Yushi is here. T1, they're hunting for the ace, and they will get themselves everyone a Weibo as they get the full 5-man shutdown. Now, with no one left remaining to contest them, they're opening up the base of the LPL squad. And this is probably where I get to say it. The victory march coming ever closer to T1. They've got themselves an inhibitor in the mid lane opened up. This Ocean Drake will be soon to fall. T1 sit with Ocean Soul and open Nexus towers in their sights. As this play starts off, Carrier being caught out, but he uses a charm knowing full well the collapse from the rest of his team is a lot quicker than what Weibo can put down. The Shy is back in base. He's nowhere near this. He's unable to protect his team, unable to get any impact. He doesn't even have utilize his TP until it's too late. Then the Slicing Maelstrom, while it does a lot of work to Zeus, is able to pick up a kill as that's Zeus caught in the side lane. The mass amounts of damage from the Q3 comes through. It's Temper Fate shuts down T1's engage forward. Slicing Maelstrom is utilized, but Faker's here. He shuts down the cannon. It's 3 kills to none as T1 are looking for another ace. Wei forced to run away, but the base of Weibo are in the sights of T1. Zeus has TP'd in. He's hunting for the Nexus towers. He's got a wave in position. T1 are on the victory march. They've the Nexus in their sights. They've grinded for this glory as the SK dynasty continues with their 4th title. Like 'em or not, they've done it yet again. Another crown for T1. It's been so long since they've been atop of the world. So close in previous years, losing out to the LPL at MSI, and at Worlds losing to DRX last year. So many storylines. coming into this series. But the one that stands tall at the end of this is a dynasty. One of many years continuing to live on as SK T1 find themselves another title. The LCK second seed ran the LPL gauntlet here at Worlds in the knockout stages, beating them back to back to back. They took down the best from the West and they beat the beasts of the East. And once again, T1 stand atop of the tower. I guess this is where I say that series was not close. It certainly looked like a second seed versus a fourth seed from a region. And obviously, I have to give credit to Weibo to the fact that they did well to beat everyone that stood in front of them. People say they had the easier of the paths to this championship. And I mean, they lost to G2. They had the rest of the LEC to contend with. But they never gave up. The fact is, Weibo went on, played well. They beat the opposition in draft and beat them on the Rift. And they got to this position on merit. And you've got to admit, their fan base has grown considerably during this tournament and this year. You have to give a lot of credit to people like Cadril, who have been just talking about this team non-stop throughout the entire tournament and through quite a bit of the year. But yeah, T1, what more needs to be said? I've watched them live this year, losing to BLG in a upset series. And coming into this one, as much as I thought T1 were going to win, there was that trickling feeling of doubt of them losing yet again in an upset fashion. But when you look at the history of this organization, they have never lost to an LPL team in a best of series at Worlds, which is a phenomenal feat that they've been able to keep. And now they sit at the top with a 4-star jersey coming out next year. And I'm kind of tempted to add to my collection of jerseys. Obviously, we've got G2 Worlds jersey there. Kind of tempted to get the T1 one. Add it to collection. And who knows how that will go. But yeah, the series, it came down a lot of it to how Zeus played. I'm going to be honest, I did talk about the pros on Aatrox for both teams. The fact that it got played in all 3 games kind of signifies how much of a priority pick it is for these 2 orgs. But simply put, here, I would honestly say the prio wasn't warranted. I think the fact that the jungle diff was quite high, in terms of the fact that Weiwei was bullied out of his jungle every game, it kind of led to T1 just snowballing through jungle. And the fact that all the kills in the early game mainly went over to Owner, it meant that it was easier for T1 to play through the Lee Sin and just then utilize his lead to balloon the rest of the lanes. And it's surprising because neither jungler paid much attention to the bot lane. It was typically top and mid that saw attention. And that kind of played into T1's hands. think Xiaohu had a pretty poor series. I'd also say the same with the Shy. And you could say they were made to look bad, but realistically speaking, there was no, like, aggression out from this Weibo squad that you would expect. They weren't really able to teamfight, as they kind of were forced to secure an objective and then run. Hope they can scale, but they weren't really given an opportunity to do that. And as such, T1 just ran away with it. Simple as that. And yeah, that's this entire series broke down, analysed from piece to piece. I'm losing my voice, but hey, here's the fun thing. And unfortunately, this is the last stream from Casa del Izzo for November and December. Whether or not, I'm not sure on the content-wise what's going to happen in December. But I do have some plans. Obviously, if you watch the videos coming out this week, I'm explaining that essentially I'm not in this place for December. I'm in Oslo for a month, just to have a break from the UK, bruv. So yeah, I'm not here, and that's a big bummer. It does mean that you get the lovely content of me somewhere else, doing something else. I'm not sure what that something else is. I may take my capture card and stream some Switch games. Obviously, we have got the new Pokemon DLC coming out. Maybe I'll stream that. It depends how stable the internet is at where I'm staying. That's another thing to determine whether or not I'm streaming. But hey, we'll see when we get there. Not much more can be said than that. So I'm gonna wrap it up for the last time this year. Yeah. I hope to see you guys for the video coming out this week. If you enjoyed the World's 2023 live streams, leave a massive like down below. I've spent so many hours watching League this year. A lot more than normal, to be honest. A lot more than I'm used to, considering I've watched every game at least twice, except for this series today, where this was live reactions from me, which is a big difference to not live, where I've seen it before, so I have an inkling of how things happen. But yeah, that's that. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.